Oh, ladies and gents, good evening. Question Time Live, episode 149. My goodness. Actually, bear with me because I've not got my TikTok going. There we go. I'm going to start all that one again. Ladies and gents, welcome to Question Time Live, episode 149. If you're joining me on TikTok, welcome. That was the YouTube part to this. Again, going to be a bit split on this one. So yes, let's see how we do. That TikTok stream, there's a hell of a lot going on with it, but of course it's the time where you get to fire in your koi keeping related questions, koi keeping, koi appreciation, you name it. We tackle, or I tackle the lot. So from there we will go and see where the episode takes us. I have got a really cool bit to share with you, some information, and it's relating to a video that's actually going to be dropping tomorrow as well, which will be really cool. It's basically this new stuff Taniguchi's produced is fucking madness. Honest to God, I was on it this morning, this afternoon actually, or something like that. Anyway, messaging away with him. The fucking information. This guy is a mad scientist of the finest degree, and obviously the man that brought us golden corn is now cooking up another crazy creation. And I've been trying to get out of him like what his bigger picture is, because a lot of the time when breeders produce these spawnings, it's not just straightforward. You know, you look at two fish, you think, oh, he's hoping to get that out of it. Well, what he's actually paired here isn't producing that. It's producing something completely different because of the bloodline. And that's the stuff I explain in the video that's dropping on YouTube tomorrow. It's a really in-depth, deep dive look at the fish. Also, why bloodline, I think, is actually more irrelevant to you guys than you think, because there's a whole thing around in the marketing, isn't there, where I say it's from this parent fish, it's from this. And actually, it's not. Is it the bloodline? Is it the parent fish? I think the parent fish is the more important bit for you guys, not the bloodline. And that's what I go in and explain. But this morning, chatting away, because I needed a picture of the parent set he used to pop into the video. And he's actually sent me all that. And then he actually fired off and sent me, he'd been doing the selection. He spawned them again this year. He was doing the selection on those. And at the same time, he sent me the new parent set. It's got even more fascinating. I'm actually going to dive into that in a little bit, because it relates to golden corn's future. And went on, and he did actually, I asked him again, I went, what's the bigger picture of this? And I absolutely love this because the guy knows how to do it. He says, I just want to make super rare, super unique jumbo kawari. And kawari is the short term for kawari goi, which is the classification where kind of varieties that don't fit into a variety properly all get thrown into. So really, truly unique koi always get bundled into there. So yeah, this guy is just insane. But we'll get into that a little bit more in a short moment. For now, though, if you have got any koi related questions, feel free to fire them in. Obviously, we're on YouTube. We're also over on TikTok, and happy to, like I say, get stuck into and answer those koi questions for you. It's not much of a question time live show we're at it, is it? But yeah, back to the Taniguchi stuff, because like I say, so this spawning, again, you see the video on YouTube tomorrow. It's just, there's so much in it, so weird and wonderful. The base fish is a 96 centimeter female Ginrin Matsukawa Baki that the guy from his own bloodline that is fused with the Kikukuryu, which came from Dainichi, which will shock a few of you, but it was actually a fish that originated from the Botan spawning. And he's fused them two together last year and come up with all this wacky stuff that it's thrown out. It really is remarkable. But you can see straight away, I mean, the male fish, I think, was 80 or 85 centimeters. That was a bit of a beast. And we can already see, well, I know from Golden Corn, he likes to grow fish big. That is the basis of anything he does. It's like, I've got to get them big. That's it. So he goes from there, and hence, you know, the big parents that he's used, that's exactly where that's originated from. But all the stuff it's thrown out, you're looking at that going, how has that come from that? and there is some sense to it. It sits on that Dainichi Botan side. So please do check out the video for the dam. I'm not going to give it away because it's all in there. It'll be out at some point tomorrow. But yeah, onto this year's. Like I say, I've seen, I saw it, and what he's done is a natural spawning with one female, I think 4 or 5 male fish, all different thing, all quite similar, kind of that Kikukuryu vibes along them. But all of a sudden, there's this absolutely belting big male asagi swimming around. And I looked, I thought, interesting. I said, is this one of yours from Golden Corn? No, he'd actually bought it from Oya. And you can see there, so that would be there in the mix somewhere, obviously fertilizing some of the Matsukawa Baki eggs. And already what he's actually doing is setting up the next generation, another bloodline of Golden Corn. There we go. So in amongst creating his weird and wacky Kawarigoi, he's also now creating his next generation of Golden Corn as well. And obviously he's cracked it once. He's starting, I mean, what a fusion there. Big Matsukawa Baki like that with Oya Asagi. So it's keeping really separate blood from everything he's done. And that's exactly what he'll do. So he'll develop that line running alongside, because already with his Golden Corn, he's on 3rd generation. So at some point, that blood will be starting to get too close. And that's when yields can become lower, deformity rates can increase. You name it, it starts with a whole world of different problems. So most breeders who obviously need to keep that is his bloodline, it's something he's created, will have a simultaneous line. This is what a lot of the Sakai stuff, and they've managed to do for years. Sakai started with 2 kind of simultaneous bloodlines they built out, and over the years that's allowed a lot of crossing over to keep the characteristics nice and strong, but avoid inbreeding to a heavy degree. And that's exactly what he started doing, as well as producing something completely new. So expect to see all this weird, wacky, wonderful things, big, monstrous koi coming from Taniguchi in the next few years as he raises them through. I've got an amazing batch here. We're very lucky to get onto them early doors. I was having a sort through yesterday, and there's just some remarkable stuff. But you'll get to see it all tomorrow. And then you never know, next week you might, or not, actually later this week, you might get your hands on a few and have me grow them. So yeah, stay on your toes for that one, folks, because they are cool. I would, if I'd have been more prepared, I'd have got the video. I don't know how to share out like that on TikTok, but I could have got it on for YouTube. But see the video tomorrow, maybe in next week's episode I can come back to it. But what a remarkable breeder. It's so cool, the level of investment in doing that new stuff to keep it interesting for all of us, so it's not just the same thing year in, year out, is absolutely superb. Right, I'm just going to have a flick through the TikTok comments quickly. Like I say, guys, any koi keeping related, koi pond questions, anything like that, feel free to fire them in, and we'll get stuck into it for you. I think that's just a whole load of likes and stuff over there on that. What we got here? What's Umbercoy saying? Oh, last said, it's been on our telly all day. It's a bit hard to get rid of me, isn't it? No one's got a cure for it yet. So, quality. Anyway, Aaron, I look forward to seeing you next week, pal, to carry on. If anyone's seen it, Humbercoy over on YouTube, he's been doing a series with me. There's a particular pond of Saito fish that I've let him document. So I think are we 2 deep on that already? I think we're 2 videos deep. It might only be 1. Might have done the first one. But then the next part of that is coming up. The change from the last one. If you haven't seen it already, it's done 1 part. That's it. Well worth a look at that. There's an earlier part on my own channel, so you can really see the progress of this batch of fish through. And I guarantee his jaw's going to drop when he sees this. Baileys is the cure. No. Well, mind you, it depends how far down a bottle of that we get, innit? So happy days. And Ray and Paul, thanks for the live, keeping me company whilst the M1 was shut on the way home. There we go. Happy days. Anyway, I can't see many questions in, folks, so I might be going off. Early at this rate. I know I've been on for an hour and a half on onside sales, but my commitment to the question time show is always here. So Which is better, sir, hand breed or natural? There's a good question. That really depends breeder by breeder. It's quite interesting. A lot, and depends on what they use. Some have used it all. There's some now reverting back to natural, who's been artificial. There's others moving away from that to artificial. And the thing is there, obviously, it depends how much risk they're willing to take. So Taniguchi with this spawning last year did a 1-on-1. And with the new shower line he produced, he did 1-on-1. Obviously, from that, what can happen is you can get lower fertilization rates. It's not completely set in stone. Well, no fish breeding is, but it's a higher risk. So obviously, then you use 2 male fish, or as I did with my own spawning in Japan last year, there was 3 male fish. What you get there is a higher fertilization, but less control, because we don't actually know which male fish is performing. I know from my own batch that there was at least, I could literally pick out, and I know one of those males against the female was an incredible pairing. 1-on-1, it might have been a phenomenally shit yield. I don't know, but you don't get that level of control. Obviously, 2-on-1, you get a bit more. 1-on-1, you know exactly. So the next year, if it's been shit, you can change the male out. You know, it's quite easy. With artificial, you've got that ability. As Dainichi Toyota, for example, uses the artificial spawning method, and what that allows him to do, and this is actually how the Pandora shower line has been created, because he's only been operating with 1 male fish. That's how fragile the creation of that bloodline has been for the past few years. 1 male fish. Now he's got enough that will be able to build upon it down the generations. But the 1 male fish, which has allowed him to artificially mix that sperm across eggs from various different female parent fish that he's got. So that's obviously incredibly difficult to do, almost impossible with the natural spawning method. So yeah, I think that's where the choice really comes into it, is what they're looking to achieve. It's all right doing that. Toyota's got the ability to split out, because once you've done it, you need to keep those batches of fish separate to analyze the results. But by him doing that, what he's going to see is the results. You know, within 1 year, he could possibly see the results of, say, 4 to 6 different pairings, versus doing it the natural way, where you're going to see it's going to take you years, especially if you're doing it and you've got to unpick it. But if you're 1 male to 1 female at a time, you know, he's moving at 5 to 6 times the pace with the artificial method. And that's where massive difference comes in. So, yeah, it's really, really varying. I know Sakai's gone, you know, from doing natural to now artificial, because some yields had been dropping. It's going to depend case by case, but obviously there's a lot of skill involved in the artificial method, a bit more. But I think a lot comes down to that mentality of pairings and how much stability and control they want to know over the pairings and stuff like that. But this was actually quite funny. The response from Taniguchi, laughing, the fact he's used 4 or 5 parents, he just said it's crazy, but selection's really good fun, because it's all very random. And there's another thing. Look, the insight to the breeders, these guys love it. You've got to remember, they absolutely love what they do. And something like that to him, he's thinking, oh, it's going to be great fun. I'll just throw all that lot together and see what sense I can make of it. So happy days. Chris here, evening Ricky. Ginrin Karashi looking small, but colour makes it stand out around the big girls. Thanks, up. Very good, thank you. Hi Ricky, if you have very small koi with lots of big koi, how much will it stunt its growth? Can it reach its full size over time? Thank you. A lot of that actually depends on how quickly it gets to. I've noticed your growth pattern. You've kind of got the first 3 years of this massive surge development of the bone structure. You're almost setting out how far it can go beyond that point. Obviously, you've always got genetic limitation, directly the parent set, then deeper into the bloodline. But ultimately, I tend to find if after them 3 years, it's really, really small still, the structure will have almost set a little bit. So if you really try forcing a fish like that, you'll get it to grow a bit, but then there's more chance, especially with female ones, that you'll actually blow the body out a bit more. And that's where you get them really fat bellies come from, because the structure itself is then too small to actually carry the weight around it. So what happens is it just forces it all out underneath. and it's really, really difficult at that point. So yes, when you've got a small fish competing against big ones, it is difficult for them, especially when there's a lot of big ones, they're dominant. What you can tend to find is because they're so kind of fast and nimble, they can get to the food quicker, which can put the big ones at a disadvantage. But quickly as the big ones get to the surface, you're going to find that it spooks them little ones away. So yes, it'll grow if it's a growth environment, but it will slow it down. But if you can get some steady growth on it, you'll do all right, certainly up to that 3-year-old mark. And then they'll get to a certain point where it can hold its own. The big thing is it depends also on that how competitive the environment is. Everything I've just said there, if you've got a massive pond with just say 10 fish in it, then it's not a super competitive environment. And there's a chance there, it's got more equal chance to get to the food as everything spreads out. Now, in my case, commercially, I carry such heavy stocking levels while I'm raising these fish. It's an ultra competitive environment, and those small ones always miss out. It's too much. But what we find is what we will do is separate them out, as I have done. I've got a couple of batches here where I've done it. And before you know it, you can get them catching up with the others. And there comes a point where you can actually I can reintegrate, and they'll all carry on perfectly fine together, which is not possible for you guys, or it may be if you've got growing on tanks. So it's not just all set in stone. It never really is with koi. But I think the biggest thing is it's how far can you get to that kind of 3-year-old mark when things will change, because the year-on-year growth will really slow down. What you can do if you've had kind of one bad year, toe side to this side, you can recover that and then carry on the momentum. But also don't forget in all this, your biggest limiting factor anyway is ultimately directly that initial parent fish size, then what's deeper in the bloodline, always. All right, see what we've got. So look over on the YouTube. I have a 20+ year Deutsch with a swollen belly and slightly swollen eyes. Seems like dropsy. Yeah, it could be. Obviously, swollen belly underneath is a little bit different to dropsy. Dropsy will start more behind the head and swelling out. Could be maybe a little bit swim bladder related, or possibly even eggs if it's female. Saying here, been lethargic for a few weeks and now not eating. I was told there's really nothing that can be done. Do you agree, Ricky? When they're old like that, it's tough. And never write anything off, but you can't be too aggressive. So I think probably your best bet if you want to do anything would be some salt baths, because if it's anything internal, you could potentially help just flush that through and maybe relieve some osmotic pressure just to help it out. So might be worth a shout on that one. Ray and Paul, last night you talked about the makeup of the Ayawakaba. What's your favorite types of koi joined together to make the most interesting new breed? Ooh, I mean, there's not too much. I don't want to go over that one again too much, the Taniguchi thing here, but you just see that straight away. And I think I'm going to stick with that because it's so fresh. And it's because I'm not kind of, well, I am. I'm selling the video tomorrow. You need to watch it. But the big thing there is that pairing, because of the bloodline, what it's done by, and you basically cross Deutsch with Wagoi, which causes all kinds of chaos anyway, but it's thrown out stuff from so far back in the bloodline that have all pulled through in the offspring. It's amazing to see. That's a little bit different to the sort of, because although the direct descendants of some varieties back in the family tree, it might not be necessarily what they use these days to do it. It would have just been something initial that maybe sowed the seeds for the creation of that variety. But yeah, the Ayawakaba one was fascinating. Carp pox at a steady 26 degree, one fish being stubborn. Yeah, I think it's exactly that. And it's probably its own immune response to the not kicking in enough to clear it, unfortunately. Right, let's have a quick look on TikTok. I'm still not getting used to this. I love it all running through one place. It'd make my life a lot easier. I think it forgets being male, processing more than one thing at a time. Is it worth the cost of using air source heat pump? 100%. I think within the community, this is something I've actually pushed a hell of a lot on a lot of my content, is that air source heat pumps, but for heating in summer. This is the whole point. When you're heating in winter, you're always going to be your most inefficient, and you don't need to. If you give your fish the best possible summer with good stable temperature control, fantastic feeding, really get the growth on them, they will naturally prepare for a cooler, more aggressive winter anyway. And you can bring that temperature right down in winter, then keep them ticking over at a steady 8 to 12 degrees in that region. And when your heat pump's not working, it's absolute arse off. Whereas in summer, you're getting the highest output from it as well, just to keep it stable. Now, we've obviously had this heat wave for a prolonged period. People with unheated ponds have had the best results they've had in years, no doubt, with stability. But still, there's dip-offs. I've got it here. I've got ponds outside that I've still got the heat on for fallback, especially where I'm intensively growing, because having that completely stable temperature is really important for them, for the feeding and for the biological filter development. But everything that everybody's reported on air source heat pumps is that they are incredibly efficient to run. And if you get them at the right times, you're going to be absolutely laughing. James, how are you getting on with Mountain Tree? Yeah, I'm really loving it so far. Not to the point where I'm going to be the one out there backing it, because it takes me a while to get to that point. I really want to understand its performance and what benefits it's bringing. You can't do that in 6 or 12 months. It's over a prolonged time. But the pond where it is running primarily, I'm really, really happy with its overall performance and water condition, and I've been raising some phenomenal fish in it. So it's the Gen 3 that I've used in the shower. It's not the only thing running on the pond, but yeah, I'm pleased with it so far. I'm seeing it, and I didn't load it up based on the fact they quote such surface area, and the media itself is a lot more expensive than other options out there. To my mind, the way to go about it was to use less, because that's basically what we're saying. With less of this, you can get the same, if not better, and more results. And so that's the route I went down. And I think last year was a bit of a write-off because it had not actually seeded and got enough maturity. But I think towards the end of it, and certainly into this year, I've seen it kick. And I am very happy with what the pond is doing overall. There we go. I'll jump over to YouTube a minute. Oh, hang on. That's someone talking within the chat. Hi, mate. After antibiotic injections and fish heal properly, does this affect future growth? I think it really depends on how damaged that fish has been overall, how old it is as well. If it's been through really severe illness, that can knock it. If it's just, caused it's been some ulceration, but you've managed it, then it probably wouldn't affect growth all that much. But ultimately, it will depend on just how sick the fish has been. Moved over to Sakiakari Balance. Got my first bag today as per your recommendation. Looking forward to it. Yes, you're going to enjoy that big time. I can absolutely promise you that. My God, it's hard keeping through all this scrolling. Right, where's this one got to? Oh, shit, it's just moved again. Oh, Jesus. Hi, mate. What's the most cost-effective way of dechlorinating my water and best method? Very, very good question. So for me, dechlorination, I think the safest way is to have something in line in your tap, some kind of purification unit. It's obviously be carbon-based. It's always worth spending the money to actually get your water analysed properly at a laboratory to understand it, because heavy metals are a massive problem in the UK and in koi keeping in general at the moment. So be very mindful of that. And I think it's about 125, 140 quid to have this lab test done. You will know if there's any heavy metals that you're dealing with. And I'm seeing more and more that are all coming back with problems, because if you've got a baseline of heavy metals in your pond, there will be problems there that compound over time and cause you absolute constant issues through to some really severe ones. And not all dechlorinators are built to remove that. So on that basis, you might find that's really bad, and then you need to be using the likes of bone char, carbon in line, and bits and bobs. But if you're looking general dechlorination, then yeah, I would always want something in line. I think that's quite important. If that's not an option for you, then the best liquid, or say liquid out there, most liquid dechlorinators are based off of sodium thiosulfate. And what you can actually do with that is buy the crystals and make your own mix. It's quite easy to do. You could just use ChatGPT or something to get you, pull you in some formulas for making it into a stock solution yourself. Really, really simple to do. And then you can just dose the pond. The thing with it is, I think it's a little bit misunderstood. sodium thiosulfate in the water, what you would do is you would dose the pond before you fill up. Now, obviously, it's basically a little bit like potassium. It uses what energy and availability it's got, as long as you get the dosage in the pond right. Dechlorinating, but if there's no dechlorinator in the pond and you douse it, it's basically sat there waiting to dechlorinate the fresh water as it hits. So obviously it is a kind of preventative. It's just not for me, I think, the best method. I think you're better off with an inline dechlorinator, and you can have a liquid dechlorinator as a backup. There'd be no harm in that. If you ever have to do a big water change fast or something like that, you can dose it in. It's really cheap to buy in the crystals. One thing I can't stand, I know some people don't want that hassle, but Dechlor's branded ones are so expensive. And when you look, there's a prominent one, you flip it over, it's just sodium thiosulfate and fucking blue colouring. So it makes you actually think there's something more in it than what there is. But it's just a stock solution of that. So there we go. It's the TikTok guys keeping this alive tonight, folks. I think YouTube's had enough for me and being on a live stream. Is JPD a good pellet maker? I've used JPD in different periods. So in the UK, I've never been blown away. As far as I'm aware, it's not actually the imported JPD product over here. And there is a difference between them from what I've seen. I'm certainly no expert on it because it's not a food or a product that I use. But for me, I'm a Saki Akari man. I think it's, Saki Akari for me is the best koi product, one of the best koi products ever made. Not even just a koi food, one of the best koi products ever made. It's quite phenomenal. Yes, it's pricey. There's new foods coming out now that are actually being more expensive than it, which I think is fucking mad to try and charge more than that stuff and what it does. And it's one of them where you kind of look at kind of cost effectiveness. Well, what you've got in Saki Akari is, and it's a hard one to get your head around because you probably still end up feeding a lot of it, but the yield on it, the conversion ratio for kilos fed to kilos gained across the collection is incredibly high because of how well it performs. Keeps your system really well, keeps your fish in fantastic conditions. You've got the Akari germ working in there in the gut. I'm a big believer in that philosophy of working from the inside out, gut health being a massive one. So, and from there, you can potentially reduce illness, reduce stress, which can save you money potentially on medications. But that yield, so you pay more up front, yes, but, potentially you can feed less to get the same results. Whereas the cheaper foods that are just full of shit, you can find yourself absolutely hammering them at your fish and you won't get the same results. So in the end, you just use a lot more and get no further down the line. Oh, I've lost all that in the fucking chat again. Fat fingers. Oh, Aaron's here. How we doing, pal? We need to have a catch up, mate. Saki Akari is the best. Hi, Ricky. What's the quickest way to lower nitrite? It depends what you've done to cause the nitrite spike, Phil, to be honest. Is it something potentially systematic that would need a correction? I think with nitrite, you need to understand what's caused it and rectify it that way by either removing it. Have you just started feeding more and it shoved it up? In that case, if you know you've got filtration capacity, I'd be tempted to sit tight. The bacteria that converts nitrite into nitrate is a lot slower. It's a lot more sensitive. If you have got free chlorine in your system, it's going to be really susceptible to that causing it harm. Lots of different bits that can trigger it, but understanding what's potentially caused it helps you figure it out. The one thing I wouldn't recommend is you go out buying one of the miracle bottles of bacteria and lobbing that in, because it also depends how high it is. You'll tolerate certain levels of nitrite over prolonged periods. You can also, if you're stressed, you can add salt at 0.3%, which is half an ounce per gallon. And from there, you can... that will just prevent brown blood disease, which is the biggest problem with nitrite. So over time, it poisons red blood cells, it kills them off, and then that's an inability for them to carry oxygen around. So with koi, it's a bit different. I see it with my tropical fish, it absolutely batters them. Nitrite spikes are horrendous. You really see it affect them big time. Ponds and koi are very different in that respect. Oh, I've done it again. It's an overfeed. Right, so you've increased your feeding. Is it actually an overfeed? Do you think your system's got enough capacity? Because this is where a lot of people go wrong. Your filter has to develop the appropriate amount of bacteria and biofilm to process the food. And what it will do over time, if you're feeding a consistent amount, it will land at that point. So the bacteria will develop to that level. If you then increase it, and if you increase it too far, you will get your spike because that bacteria has then got to catch up. Now, if it's warm enough, that will happen a lot faster. If it's slower, it will be a lot slower. But what a lot of people tend to do is back off too soon. Because if it's, say, it's up to kind of 0.3, 0.5 nitrite, and I'm not sweating too much. If it looks like a blood sample, then it might be that you've really blown it out too much. You might just need to do a couple of water changes, but, you know, salt's still a good emergency option. But you need to let the filter count. But most people back off, they shit themselves and back off. And all that'll happen is that filter performance, so you'll have a little bit and then it'll drop back down to where you're at feed level wise. So not enough people, it's sort of like that. Feed, spike up, feed, spike up, and keep climbing like that. And that's how you actually build more strength into your biofilm. But of course, you've got to have the capacity. Yeah, 0.5 at the moment, that sounds about right. Plus, I think it's been missold for years that 0 nitrite is something attainable. It is, but not in a pond where there's any level of decent feeding being done. It just will not, it'll not keep up. So, yes, there we go. But I think stick with it, Phil. If you think you've got capacity in your system, mate. I've just jumped on another screen here as well. I tell you what, this is now I'm about 2 hours into chatting on live streams, and I'm feeling it. I've got to go and help wife move some furniture at her dad's and all after this. Crikey. Why do other people coat the Sakiakai with those anxiousness? I've got no idea, mate. That to me is the most madness thing to do. Because that's why I choose that. It's a complete food. It does everything it needs to. And you've got another reason I choose it, because this food was developed for professionals, and they know, the breeders with a testing field. You've got the really correct pellet sizes. You see no others do it like that. I think it's like 2 to 2.5 mil and 4 to 4.5 mil, or 5 to 5.5 mil, sorry, which is really, really good. Then the next bit that comes is that you've got the three main diets: growth, color, and balance. So balance is an all-round really good staple. I don't want to undersell balance. It used to be called basic years ago, and I think they knew they got it wrong and changed it to balance, because it's far, far, far from basic. It's fucking awesome stuff. Growth is for exactly that. It's got a higher fat content. It's got a different balance of the ratios of fats, carbs, and proteins in order to gain weight in the right way, because what you don't want is fish getting fat. When that balance is all out, they get fat. So with Saki growth, you get this really muscular, strong body development. And then so finally, color. So if I want color enhancement, I mix in a ratio of the color food with the growth. It's my standard. Why people would, obviously they might be doing axanthin to do that, but I would use the color food because you've got all the other benefits that come with it. Plus it's just that really, really high quality spirulina getting mixed in. So it might be that they're doing it. The fish oil is not necessary. Some axanthin, maybe just not wanting to buy the color food, but that's just, it's absolutely superb stuff. So it might be it, but I don't think there's no need to be pissing around with it all too much. That is for sure. Aquadynamics fish. Does color help specific colors or all colors? Color food is for Benny. So that's all it's there for. There's actually, I was reading up about it the other day. There's still old information that claims they didn't know what it did or how it kind of converted and all the rest of it, but it is the Benny. Now, it won't just, if you also need an element of UV, because it's, from what we know, it's loading up the cells with pigment, but we also need the UV to help get the development in the cells. So it's the combination of the two. just UV without it will help colour, but what I tend to find is, from my experience, if you're growing them rapidly, just UV will not actually help the colour develop fast enough, and it'll actually just stretch it out too much. It can't develop at that pace, so colour food helps fill that gap. But it's just the Benny. And as for Sumi, well, Shiroji, there is actually a food now for the white skin. Saki Akari do it pure white, and it does work. It's fucking crazy expensive. It's actually developed in Japan as a conditioning food for the shows. I've used it. There's some content on my YouTube channel about it, and I literally, it's kind of over a month to 6 weeks, you do see this crazy effect on the white skin. It's a massive detoxifying food. Sumi is your one that you can't really help. So Sumi is very much dictated by genetics, the Sumi type, and light. It's incredibly sensitive to light, to the point where too much light can be damaging for it. Not enough really thins it out. It's really complex stuff. A lot of people just always said water temperature. That's actually, for me, I think the water temperature myth is more linked to what Sumi does when it's cooler. But when it's cooler, typically in the UK, what we've got is almost no UV index, which is, you know, Sumi can find quite encouraging to come out. So yeah, do us non-professionals need expensive food? I don't think it's about necessarily the price. It's about what you want to get from your koi collection. For you guys, a lot of these things are your pets. A lot of people want to give them the highest level of care. I think of it quite practically, in that, do you want your fish to grow? Yes, then you want the right grow food for it. I want to get what I consider value for money. So it's not just about it being expensive. What's actually the best value pound for pound? What keeps them the healthiest? Because when your fish are unhealthy, you're potentially spending a fortune on medications to keep them right, or all the water additives and all the rest of it. So I think you have to look at what you're generally wanting from the hobby overall, and come at it from that kind of angle. But if your mindset is, look, these are my pets, I want to give them the best, it's exactly that. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of fish foods out there that are still not cheap as koi foods and just don't deliver anything. You know, it's really, really disappointing. Apparently, Keygen are bringing out foods out next year for Sumi. Yeah, we'll wait and see. Eh? We'll wait and see. That's, yeah, we'll wait and see. Dear. Oh, that's nearly. I'm going to leave that. I've not quite got the energy for a rant. We'll leave that. Aquadynamics call. Is that your Zebby tank? No, that's my office tank full of barbs. There's a pair of Controdons in there somewhere, apparently. I've never actually seen them since I put them in, buried well within the rocks, but primarily full of barbs, some curries, a couple of Pandagaras. It's, yeah, the others are at my garage at home. Got 13 tanks stashed in my garage, I think. Mental. No, Lewis, I'm fucking not doing it. I think I've had some quiet ideas but I just think, what the fuck is it? People honestly just come out, and it's always the fuckers selling the products that come out with these crazy claims in it. Always the fucking same. Boring. What was that? That was a Nigel Farage meme, wasn't it? Boring. It's fucking boring. Honestly, I've just watched years and years and years to bring it out. Oh, this is gonna fucking do this and do this and do this. And yeah, the testing field's always an interesting one, isn't it? I think you just see stuff like, yes, here we go, this fantastic new food been tested in Japan by one breeder for 2 weeks, and I stood near him and took a fantastic picture with my arm around him while he was holding this bag. It means he loves it. Please buy this food. Anyway, moving on. That wasn't aimed at any specific product, by the way. That's just generally how it all fucking seems to be. I've seen it right back to the years of one other professional, some food come out. I think it was actually called, it had Nigata shoved into the name. And I tell you what, the fucking plastic content in that food, it smelt plastic. It smelt more plastic than the tub it was in. Fucking absolutely ridiculous. Crazy stuff. I've got 10k fry in a spawn pond at the moment. Parents are back in the main pond. Any advice, Ricky? Would currently on the 70-litre air pump 4 times a day, light doses of boiled egg yolks and water. Keep that up. Obviously, live food is phenomenally good for them. But I think you're probably past that obviously point of cultivating some Daphne in there. You've done the right thing getting the parents out. Just keep going as you are, to be honest, and yeah, get the food into them, get them growing, make the most of it being warm. Probably the best advice I can give you is as soon as that pond looks too rammed and you can get some sense, you need to do selections. I think this is the bit where a lot go wrong. The Japanese are on that stuff so fast, and it's them constant selections and getting the waste away that really allows them to thrive and get the size on. But of course, a lot of you guys are not the trained in the selection is the real unique part of it. And hence why a lot of people leave them too long, because they need to fish the fish to get a bit bigger to have some idea of understanding what's going on. I could now it's get home from work and go to work in Gary. Like the Wi-Fi is shocking in there. But and to be fair, it's not one of them. When they say don't take your work home, unfortunately, like not neglected in a looking after sense, but you'll know what it's like having tanks. You let that glass get topside of you and shit, and it's not, it ain't the prettiest in there a lot of time, even though the fish are thriving. Phil, what do you think to Nutrimare 360? I can't give any kind of reference on it. I don't use it. I already said there I use Saki Akari, and that's where I'm at on that one. Evening, Mickey, again. Evening, Ricky. Other than usual things like quality food, good stable water, and quality genetics in fish, what is the secret to getting the best luster and shine? Here we go. So that is the big one here, where I think my methodology really comes into its own, and there'll be people want to kind of pick it apart and all the rest of it. But hey, if you want to start doing that, remember there's a gazillion videos on YouTube, and you get to see the results constantly. So, and this is achievable in other ways other than the way I do it. Obviously, I've got a massive operation here, just shy of 50 ponds, and I have to work around those needs as well. But luster, ultimately, you imagine there's a lot of things within water that can impact it. A lot of my philosophy is I like to minimize water changing, still have a good maintenance regime, but minimize water changing, because I believe our mains water is you are risking upsetting the balance of the ecosystem, and that's the big word. Because I use fluid beds and a lot of K1, I believe that environment creates one of the best ecosystems in a pond. When an ecosystem establishes properly with a good maintenance regime, yes, they have fresh water, but listen to what I say, I like to keep it to an absolute minimum and just let the ecosystem actually do the work. Now, for me and some of the systems I've got, what that means is sometimes the water clarity isn't the best. Organics do build up. Organics aren't actually, they can be counterintuitive to appetite. However, I've kind of disproved that to some degree with the madness results I get in a lot of them ponds still now. So it's minimizing that. But the difference when I say minimizing it is I know what's going on with my water here. So I know we're not loused with heavy metals for a start. I also know that we've got good dechlorination in place. And then on top of that, I also keep it to a minimum and let this ecosystem build, let the filter do its thing. It's amazing when you hear the people say, I've had the pond for 30 years, I've never had a problem. Often you find these ponds have been what some fish keepers would call neglected. But what I believe happened is they've been left alone with minimal interference from fresh water, and this ecosystem has taken over and formed. It's fragile. You take fish out of that, however, put them into the way, koi keepers, more general or fancier koi keepers, if you like, keep their ponds. Fucking hell, those fish would struggle, so they start adapting to the environment. We're not talking here though about having fish that are raised up to the mass sizes and all the rest of it. So it's about this ecosystem. Now, for a lot of you guys out there, one of the big things, just as an example straight away, would be, and light's important in this scenario. And again, too much can be a problem. Controlling UV penetration through the water is a massive part of it. So light combined with, if you've got a background reading of heavy metals in your pond, or you're not dechlorinating problem, you've got a background trace of chlorines or chloramines, those things will disrupt the mucus. There'll be a stress factor. And what that will cause is the mucus to become unhealthy or to over thicken. And when it does, what you tend to get is that the slime coat will become more opaque. In order to get skin luster, you've got to get the mucus to its absolute healthiest. And from there, it becomes really clear and really shiny, and that's where you get your luster. Now, of course, genetics also play a part, but this is more about refining and polishing, if you like. Food, yes, you've said the best food. I believe working from the inside out with gut health, incredibly important. But that water is the real magic bit, and too many of us have elements in the water that you can't see. You can't test for heavy metals properly. Just as an example, the other day, Dan, part of the team, Dan, the developer who's built our amazing platform. Many of you are familiar with him, might not be so much on TikTok, but I've been helping him work through an issue that's occurred, and he's had the lab testing done. He's got a handheld meter, and he was getting a 0 reading off it for copper. And I said to him, I says, would you ever fucking trust a test kit that reads 0? I wouldn't, because there's always a bit of something in water. And sure enough, lab tests come back, copper's a problem. There's high copper in the water. There was a trace of copper in the pond, not it was below fish safe values. The dechlorination was doing its job. But in his case, I think what's happened is it's possibly been there because he's only recently put the dechlorination in place to deal with the copper, done some detoxification in the water, which has probably neutralized it out. But define skin luster. Well, luster is the skin shine, basically. There's 2 words for it in Japanese. I can't remember which way around it is. It's teri and suya. I can't remember which bit's which there with that. But yeah, so that background, if you've got those background stressors in there, you're going to cause that mucus to overdevelop, over thicken, get that kind of opaqueness to it, and you're not going to get that high level of shine. Your fish are going to look a bit flat, a bit dull. And that's where you don't get it. So, and most people, like I say, aren't really aware of it. Heavy metals sat there in the background are a constant stress factor. They wear the immune system down. If you're feeding a shite food, that will really have an impact on it as well. So, what the fuck? How do you ban someone on this? I've not had a... There we go. Brilliant. The viewer will not be able to watch. Yeah, fuck it. Let's have that. Absolutely stupid comments. That's TikTok for you. Yeah, lost that a little bit there. Someone on some random thing there. I'm not even going to... You'll see it in the chat. What a fucking absolute stupidity. Honestly, nothing even to do with koi or anything. Crazy. So yeah, that's it. You know that water, it's really worth understanding. You look at the price of koi, the price of an average collection, and the 140 quid to have that Ivario home test full kit done and understand your water. Please be aware, if you ever have that done, when you get the test back, it's for drinking water test. There'll be a lot of green ticks on it, because your drinking water is probably fine. You have to convert it from milligrams per litre to micrograms per litre. And from there, you will be able to understand it. But you need to then bench it against the fish safe metrics, which I have, but they're not generally out there. So yeah, it's complex stuff, but I think that's one of the biggest ones for me. A good maintenance regime. Obviously, if you're not getting all the heavy shit out of your system on a frequent enough basis, it's not going to be good for it. But I think part of my secret formula for skin luster is the Saki Akari and what it does for them. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. It's a huge part, as well as the K1. It's all part of my formula for success. And well, I'll let you guys be the judge of the results. You see me fish on YouTube all the time. Right, guys, we've got 10 minutes before I clock off. I've had someone here asking me, what's your thoughts on the Easy Pod? I think they're a great filter for what they are. I think people use them in the wrong ways. I used to run, I had at one point, I think 13 or 15 Easy Pods running. in both gravity and pump fed. Pump fed actually did me fucking head in a little bit, because actually the constant filling up for the cleaning cycle, all a bit slow and tedious. I think they're actually sometimes too efficient. So if you've got heavy loading passing through, they will block up fast because they're so good at trapping shit that it will cause it to block up a hell of a lot. Gravity fed, when I had it, I don't know what it was. I thought it was remarkable. It filled up a lot faster. I had it one running on a 1,200 gallon pond we used to ram with fish, and it did an absolutely fabulous job. So yeah, I think for what they are price wise, they're good. I think probably, you know, people expect too much, and sometimes they're their own worst enemy because they are a bit too efficient, and they can be, although it's relatively easy maintenance, they can need quite a bit of upkeep. And I think, you know, being quoted, they used to be quoted on a 2,000 gallon pond, I think. Yeah, I would say that's getting too punchy, because if a 2,000 gallon pond, and this is why I don't like, you bring that in, this is why I don't like it when manufacturers quote like that. This filter can do this. I think it should all more be done on food. I'm not going to get into that whole debate, but it should be based on food, because if you take that easy pod in isolation, you put it on a lightly stocked hobbyist pond, it'll probably do fine. You give me it on a 2,000 gallon pond, the thing will melt, you know, with how the strainer would put it under. So it all comes down to the amount of bio capacity in there for processing food, really. But pretty much the same as I've said with drum filters as well. It also depends on the mechanical load you're hitting them with, because the drum filters I have are quoted and spec'd for the size of pond, but because of how much mechanical debris they get hit with from the heavy feeding, it puts too much pressure on them, and that'd be exactly the same for an easy pod. The easy pod's case, they're obviously not they're not a crazy expensive system, and I you know, K1 is one of my favorite medias to use as well, although more in fluid bed form. They're also quite diverse. You can use them as a bit of an extra filter on a skimmer line, you know, you name it. I think all round they're a superb bit of kit. Mickey, did you put chicken manure in those Japanese koi breeze ponds, or am I mistaken? That's exactly it. So after I did my spawning last year, and a typical part of the process is as soon as the fish have been spawned, it's off to the mud pond to fertilize it with chicken manure to start cultivating the Daphne. So that's in a good place before the fish are released. So at the point of releasing, there's a lot of food in there for them. Carl, fantastic news. Ari the Skin Luster, thanks, Ricky. So much knowledge you share with us for free. Absolutely, mate. Where we got? Oh, I missed anything there. Thoughts on artificial light for indoor koi? Challenging is what I'm going to go with. For many things, I think the light, you can help maintain the color, but I think getting color thickness is part of the issue here without adding UV into it, because it's parts of the color spectrum that help prop the color up, but real thickness requires UVs to stimulate the cells and get them to spread. And the kind of units that can deliver UV, the wattage on them, and the kind of how it works with the refraction of the water, penetration, depth, and all, and things like that. You're gonna have to have these things sat so close to the surface for them to really do anything. So basically, take from that is, say you were to use a like a tropical light, that, as we know there, then that's the fucking hell, what brand is it? Fluval's lighting I've got on my tank there. They're fantastic. Obviously, they keep them, the colors looking superb, but depth of color is different with koi, and you could quite easily change the spectrum on that. You change how the color looks. So you will change by getting the light spectrum. You'll get the color looking right, but like I say, you'll lose the thickness, and that's the point of it. And with them, I mean, look where it sits on the tank. You're pretty much on the surface, and you're getting some decent penetration. But if all of a sudden you put that above, say, on a pergola and shining down, by the time that kind of hits the water, you're going to have lost your clout in it. And you have a look at this. Obviously, people are developing lamps for indoor plant growing, and if you're delivering that, you'll be able to deliver algae into the water, which, you know, then you're solving a lot of the problem. But you see the cost of them, and you see the area that they cover and the penetration they get. You scale that up over a pond, and I think you're just pissing in the wind, to be honest. So it's an interesting one. I know there's new technologies coming on about it and all the rest of it, but yeah, yeah, I think as I've looked, the potential running cost have put me off big time. So there we go. I've really lost track of where the TikTok feed's out there. Sorry, guys. Ray and Paul, we run a gravity fed easy pod on one of our ponds. Very nice. And Jake, thanks, Ricky. You're a. I hope that was a typo. I think he meant to put legend, but a very convenient space produced legend. Brilliant. How often would you use Mediclane? Is it okay for a drum filter? Yes, it's okay for a drum filter. If you're using clay, a dose once a week is fine. Or what you could do, I know I've seen Fujo doing it before, refresh powder when it used to exist. Just a little bit of a sprinkle every day, and fish seem to love that, just putting it in the return of the pond. There we go. I love that one. You got a guy doing around saying a Nexus is shit and his black box filters are better. Oh, what did I just say? What did I just say earlier? It's fucking weird, isn't it? How people selling their own product come up with all these fucking bold claims and all the rest of it. But yeah, it honestly drives me fucking absolutely berserk. It does, especially when it comes across me. I just think, fuck off, just fuck off, just bullshit. But it's how it fucks with your guys' minds, and consumers who aren't savvy enough and aware get kind of baited into it, and all the rest. So yeah. Anyway. I think. What have I missed? I don't think I've missed anything. Just something we say up here to mix it up. Fair enough. Yeah, I think the whole filtration space, just to end on, is the information around it. I would encourage, and this is where, right, I'm not knocking, modern day stuff has made maintenance and all the rest easy. And for you guys, I'm all for that, because what we want in the hobby is nothing that puts people off. But I think what's happened is as filters these days has become a choice of, shall I have the drum? Shall I have the Nexus? Shall I have the this? Back in the day when you had your bays, it was more one of them. It was more of a, people would be block bay filter building a lot more, creating the setups, understanding flow patterns, all the rest of it. If you saw a bit of kit I've developed as well for all this stuff, I think it'd blow you all away. I ain't gonna reel that one right now though, but yeah, it's phenomenal stuff, and they did all that so you'd be building specs around the needs that you had. You'd use this material for mechanical polishing. I think there was possibly a deeper understanding of filtration techniques, all these different medias, bits and bobs. It's been simplified now to some degree, but I think in that process as well, knowledge and experience has been lost, understanding has been lost, which is why it's maybe some people are getting it wrong. Some people are being misled into what's truly possible with the system, if that makes sense. I think, and that happens not just in this; it happens in loads of things. So yeah, and I think that's where it is. Gone are those conversations. I get it. We need them better footprints and all the rest of it through lack of space. But for me, there's so much more you can do with filtration when you understand the different concepts available, and ultimately could save yourself an absolute fortune going down a very professional DIY setup route, as opposed to the units that are out there for sale and the prices that they command. For everything you see where there's a fancy gadget, even like a drum filter, you can boil it down and look at what that value that's actually providing, and go, well, how can I deliver that? So if you look at just the last one, and this is what I'm going to end on, if you look at the Japanese systems, are generally set in a way where the bottom drain actually goes directly to a massive standpipe that gets pulled every day. So what that does is the waste accumulates, and every day, it could be done twice a day, but once a day that gets pulled, that waste is gone from the water body, discharged down the drain, gone. So that's really, really good at that's it. The waste gone. It's good for the health of the water. Then the filter is fed by a drain that sits in the wall, quite low to the bottom, but sits in the wall, where generally cleaner water, because the heavy's settled out, cleaner water goes through into there. And that's what you've got. That's how they do it. The modern, very, very expensive solution to that is an automatic drum filter, which is cleaning. Now, is it necessary to be cleaning it and discharging that bit of water every 5 or 10 minutes? Well, probably not in all reality. But it's there. With that comes complication, because you've got a whole load of electronics. More stuff can go wrong, yada, 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 you name it. Yes, with your standpipe, it can't go wrong, but you do need to do it every day. Is it really that bad? You should be checking your fish every day anyway. So just to pull a quick standpipe, I don't think is a big deal. And this is what I'm getting to when I'm redesigning my new pond here, because I'm looking, thinking, is it really worth spending all that money when I could achieve this just with a simple pipe? Bosh, pull it out. And away we go. And I think it's where I'm at. And obviously, yeah, there's other stuff to it, but that, for me, like I say, you can take that very expensive solution and go, what benefit is it providing? Do I actually need? Oh, it's done this crazy thing again on stream where I've got to. What is this, folks, that it does where you've got to verify dragging a fucking piece into a puzzle and stuff, random. Yeah, move that concept, boil it down, and right, what does that do? How can I implement that and do it in a slightly different way? There was a way that was used a bit back with airlift flushers, that automatically came on and bubbled it up and did out. But yeah, simple, Japanese have got a simple standpipe, and I just have to question. You can be convinced it's what you need. In all reality, yeah, you can do that, through other means of design as well. So that's where I sort of think about it and see it. I like, seeing that stuff come out, analyze it. It's why I think the Nexus is still so fucking strong, to be honest with you, because for what they charge for a Nexus, what it actually does, biocapacity wise, mechanical efficiency, footprint, you can see why it's probably one of the best selling systems of all time. And it's still just there under the radar. And I guarantee you, that's outselling drum filters constantly. It's just drum filters get all the conversation and the hype. So it's each to their own. Depends where you're at. But my advice to you guys is that, if you are in a position where you're looking at and you think, I need a drum, you don't. There are other ways of doing it. So it's really each to their own, and whatever you're doing it from. So happy days. That's us, ladies and gents. Oh, did I just miss there over on YouTube? Just wanted to say a really big thank you. It means so much that people like you give you time to help, especially when you could be doing anything else. I really appreciate your experience. Thank you very much for that. What's this one here? I built an incredible stream using your ideas. I decorated the stream. But an incredible stream with your ideas. But an incredible stream. Oh my God, it's a fucking wind-up one again, innit? What is going on with them? Hilarious. There we go, ladies and gents. Thank you very, very much to everybody there. I got that, close that. Yes, that's it. I'll be back next week. I will get the stream set up a bit more in advance, so if you can't join me live, at least you can leave a couple of questions on it. But there we have it. Thank you very much, guys. I still don't actually know how to end this one. Anyway, I'll do that one in a minute. I'll get off of YouTube and then I'll sort TikTok out. Cheers, folks.